What would you do if your wife didn't come home one night, and when you reached for her in bed, all you felt was cold, empty sheets? Would you panic, call her, wait up? Or would a quiet voice inside you say, she's not coming back because she doesn't want to? This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about the slow, painful process of realizing you've been erased from your own marriage, one Thursday at a time. It's about how silence can speak louder than any goodbye, and how a single letter left under a pillow can change everything. Stay with me until the end. And tell me in the comments, have you ever felt like you were just a background character in your own relationship? It was exactly 3:17 a.m. when I knew. Not because I heard the door open or her heels tapping down the hallway. Not because her keys jingled like they always did when she came home late. No, I knew because there was nothing. Just silence. I reached out to her side of the bed and touched the cold sheet. Jennifer wasn't home. And the worst part? I didn't feel surprised. I didn't call her. I didn't check my phone. Because something deep in my gut had already accepted the truth. She didn't come back because she didn't want to. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the kind of silence that doesn't let you sleep. The kind that squeezes your chest and whispers what you've been trying to ignore. We had been together for 7 years, married for 3. I'm not a complicated man. I work at a car dealership in Atlanta. I keep things in order. I fix things before they break. I pack her lunch. I check her tires before road trips. I thought that meant something. She used to say I made her feel safe, that she admired my calm. Once she even said, "You're the kind of man I thought didn't exist anymore." But now I know, in that version of her is long gone. When someone stops respecting you, it's because they stopped loving you a long time ago. And I had been ignoring the signs for too long. That night, when the silence screamed louder than ever, something inside me finally broke. Or maybe it finally woke up. They say love fades slowly. Not in explosions, but in whispers, until one day you realize you've been living with a stranger. I used to think if I gave everything, my time, my effort, my quiet loyalty, it would be enough. That if I just stayed steady, she'd feel safe, loved, seen, but somewhere along the way, I stopped being seen at all. I remember picking the mustard yellow bar stools because she said they felt so her. I installed the backsplash with my own hands one fall, just because she wanted it. During the pandemic, I even did yoga with her, me, with knees that popped like bubble wrap, just so we could spend time together. And slowly, all those things became invisible. What once felt like affection turned into background noise. What once made her feel secure now made me seem boring. I started noticing the shift. She began dressing up more on Thursdays, laughing at texts she wouldn't explain, turning her phone face down. One night I asked, "Working late again?" She nodded without hesitation. "Yeah, Alice's case is a mess." That night, I scrolled Instagram and saw Alice on her couch with a glass of wine, relaxed at home, not at work. I didn't confront her. I cooked dinner for one, ate alone, watching a rerun of some show we used to enjoy together, and I went to bed with the feeling that something was rotting from the inside. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was just a fixture in the house, the man who took out the trash, who made sure her car had gas, who asked fewer and fewer questions, because deep down, I was afraid of the answers. I gave everything and disappeared in the process. At first, it felt like nothing, just another Thursday, just another late night, just another excuse. But then it kept happening, and always on Thursdays. Jennifer started staying out late once a week. "It's the case," she'd say. "Alice and I have to go over files." I wanted to believe her, I really did, but the signs were louder than her words. She started changing. New perfume, new lipstick, lace lingerie I hadn't seen before and wasn't meant for me. And always on Thursdays, she looked electric, excited, alive. Not the tired, distant woman I saw on Mondays. Not the silent, cold figure in bed next to me on Sundays. Thursday Jennifer was someone else entirely. Someone I didn't recognize anymore. I asked her again, "Long night coming up?" She barely looked at me. You know how it is. No kiss, no smile, just the sound of her heels leaving, again. I tried to brush it off. I told myself I was being paranoid, that work stress could change a person, that maybe I was the one drifting. But the truth kept clawing at my gut. Every week it got harder to pretend, harder to accept the lies she barely tried to hide. One Thursday I checked her location. It was off. Another I called, straight to voicemail. And then came the Instagram post from Alice again, home early, curled up with her cat, glass of wine in hand. The same Alice who was supposedly buried in files with my wife. I sat at the kitchen table that night, watching the clock tick past midnight. There were no more coincidences, no more just a phase. I wasn't imagining things. I was being replaced. And Thursday nights weren't about work. They were about him. There was no fight, no dramatic shouting, no slammed doors, no confessions in the middle of the night. Just silence. The night Jennifer didn't come home, truly didn't even try, I stopped waiting. I lay there in the dark and something inside me stopped aching. It didn't hurt anymore. It just went quiet. That's when I knew. I got out of bed and walked through the house barefoot, as if I were a guest in my own life. The walls, the furniture, the soft hum of the fridge, they all felt like echoes of a man who used to believe love was enough. In the kitchen, I made coffee. Black, no sugar, just like every other morning. Except this one was different. This one was the last. I sat at the table and stared at nothing. I didn't cry, I didn't shake, I just saw it all so clearly, how I'd been slowly erased, piece by piece, from the life I helped build. The mustard bar stools, the wedding photos I framed, the Sunday mornings where she slept in while I made pancakes, alone. None of it mattered anymore. So I went to the drawer, pulled out the leather notebook I used for work and opened to a blank page. With a pen that had signed 1,000 things for her, I wrote one final message. Jennifer, I waited for your honesty. I waited for the version of you that loved me. But that version is gone. I didn't lose you tonight. I've been losing you slowly. I'm done waiting. When you read this, I'll be gone. The accounts are frozen. The lease is in your name, so are the debts. You wanted space. Here it is. I folded the page, slipped it under her pillow, and walked away. 3 days after I left, I was crashing on my brother Ronnie's basement futon, eating cold leftovers and sharing floor space with Ted, our golden retriever, who hadn't stopped staring at the door. I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't thinking, I was just existing, until the notification came. $1,250 charged to our joint account at Dioc Lounge, a high-end restaurant in downtown Atlanta. Not the kind of place where you discuss spreadsheets, the kind of place where you seduce, impress, celebrate. At first I was confused. I had frozen the account. Then I realized her Apple Pay was still connected. That dinner wasn't just expensive, it was a wake-up call. I opened the banking app and started scrolling. 30 days, then 60, then 90. Ride shares at 1:44 a.m. Hookah bars on MPL Avenue. Hotel stays. Dates that aligned perfectly with those late nights at work. I wasn't shocked anymore. I was hunting for clarity. I didn't need more proof that she'd cheated. I needed to know how long I'd been living in a lie. I dug deeper. Credit card statements, travel dates, everything I could legally access, I reviewed like a man possessed. Because when someone breaks you like this, you don't want closure. You want the truth to slap you in the face so hard that you stop blaming yourself. And then I remembered something. I had set up her iPad, which meant I'd also set up her iCloud. That tiny, forgotten detail, something so small, was about to unravel everything. Because now I didn't just have bank records, I had her world in my hands. And I was ready to see it. Every hidden smile, every secret message, every truth she never planned for me to find. She was never good with tech. I always set up her phones, her apps, her passwords. I didn't think twice, it was just what I did. And when we got her iPad, I linked it to her iCloud without a second thought. That one small habit changed everything. One night, with my heart pounding and my hands shaking, I opened my laptop. I logged in. There was no resistance, no security alerts, just instant access to the digital life she never meant for me to see. The first thing that loaded was a photo, a mirror selfie. Jennifer in a deep red satin dress, glass of wine in one hand, her hair done the way she used to for our anniversaries. She looked radiant, giddy even. But it wasn't the outfit or the setting that hit me. It was the man standing beside her, older, Grey beard, button-down shirt perfectly tucked. His hand rested confidently on her waist. She looked at him the way she used to look at me, before she stopped seeing me altogether. I scrolled further. Hotel rooms, dinners, trips, dates that lined up perfectly with all the times she claimed to be swamped at work. I sat there, alone in the dark, as the pieces clicked into place like a cruel puzzle. This wasn't an affair. It was a second life. One where I didn't exist. One where she wasn't stuck with the boring husband who made coffee and fixed tires. She was someone else, with someone new. I wasn't angry. I was hollow. Not because she cheated, but because I realized just how much of myself I had given away to someone who had already left long before I did. Jamie always knew. From the first day she met Jennifer, my sister had this look in her eyes, like she was holding her breath around her. Like she didn't trust the way Jennifer smiled, or how her voice sounded too sweet when she talked to people she didn't care about. I thought she was being overprotective, maybe even jealous, but now, I know she was right. After everything I found, I called Jamie. It took me 2 days to build up the courage. 2 more to convince myself I wasn't just overreacting. We met at a small Denny's off Pin Street. I brought my laptop. I showed her the photos, the receipts, the credit card statements, the hotel bookings, the fake late nights. She didn't say, "I told you so." She didn't gloat or roll her eyes. She just looked at me, her face quiet, her voice soft. "Roger, this didn't start now," she said. "You just didn't want to see it." Those words stung more than the evidence. Because I knew she was right. I had been clinging to a fantasy, trying to hold together a marriage that had already collapsed, brick by silent brick. I was the one making anniversary dinners she forgot, cooking pancakes alone on Sunday mornings, waiting for someone who was already gone. Jamie gave me something I didn't even know I needed, clarity. And then she gave me a warning. "She's not going to stop, not until you close the door." That's when I realized I hadn't really left. I walked out. I wrote the letter. But part of me was still holding the door open, still hoping she'd walk through it and apologize. Jamie was right. It was time to close that door. For good. There was no screaming, no dramatic revenge plot, just a quiet series of decisions. Cold, precise, final. First, I froze every shared account I could. Then I removed my name from the student loans I had been helping her pay, loans that were never mine to begin with. The lease? Still in her name. She had insisted on that during the last renewal. "I want to feel independent," she said. Well, now she was. I made sure everything she once took for granted, the internet, the electricity, the water, was now fully her responsibility. Not because I wanted her to suffer, but because I finally understood. I wasn't her safety net anymore. She thought I'd always be there, the good guy. The dependable husband who swallowed pain and stayed anyway. Not this time. The silence was my final act of power. Then the messages started. "Roger, you froze the accounts. I can't pay the rent. Where are you? I need to talk to you. I miss you." But I knew what she missed, not me. She missed the comfort, the convenience. The man who quietly fixed her messes while she lived a double life. And while she scrambled to clean up the consequences of her choices, I started rebuilding mine. I moved into a small apartment with a friend, started therapy, went back to the gym, and for the first time in years I could breathe. Jennifer asked for space. Her world of effortless stability was gone, and the chaos she had ignored for so long finally caught up with her. But I didn't watch it happen. I had already moved on. Silently. She thought I was bluffing, that I'd cool off, come home, forgive, because that's what I'd always done. She thought the silence was just a phase, until she came back to an empty house. No coffee brewing, no Ted waiting at the door, no dinner, no music, just absence. She dropped her purse on the counter and ran upstairs. The bed was made, perfectly, half of it at least. The other side, the one I used to warm, was cold and untouched. And under her pillow, she found the letter. My words, my truth, my freedom. I wasn't there to see her face, to watch the denial melt into panic, to hear the silence scream at her the way it once screamed at me, but I didn't need to. 2 hours later, the messages started. "Roger, please, can we talk? I'm scared. I never thought you'd actually leave. Felipe left me." That last one. The man she risked everything for, the one she smiled at in those photos. He vanished, no warning, no goodbye, just like she did to me. And now the silence that she once used like a weapon turned on her. Even her mother, who had blocked me the moment I left, texted me, "Roger, please help her. Jennifer isn't okay." But I didn't answer, because when I walked away, I didn't just leave Jennifer. I left behind a family that chose to look the other way, that excused her lies, that stayed silent while I disappeared inside my own marriage. And now that door is shut. Not locked, not slammed, just closed. Forever. I didn't block her. I didn't delete her number. I didn't post anything online or burn her name out of spite. I just disappeared. And that was enough. While Jennifer was drowning in overdue bills, unanswered texts, and the echo of her own choices, I found peace. Real peace. Not the kind you fake to keep a marriage alive. The kind that comes when you finally stop trying to save someone who never wanted to be saved. I'd sit on the back porch of Ronnie's house, coffee in hand, watching Ted chase squirrels like we hadn't just walked away from a war zone. She thought I ruined her life, but I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped rescuing her from herself. I found a small apartment, started cooking again, just for me and Ted. Signed up for therapy, started lifting weights again, watching the pain in my chest slowly turn into strength. And one day during a session, my therapist said something I'll never forget. "Roger, you weren't left, you were set free." Jennifer, meanwhile, was left with nothing. No partner, no backup plan, no filtered version of reality to hide behind. Her final message was a screenshot, an eviction notice, and underneath it, "I'm scared, I never thought you'd actually leave." That's when it hit me. She never believed I'd choose myself. She thought I'd stay trapped in her cycle, always fixing, always forgiving, always forgetting. But I didn't. Because in the end, I didn't lose my wife. I lost the illusion of one. And what I gained was everything she tried to take from me. Dignity, clarity, freedom.
Keep watching our stories by clicking on one of the videos that appear on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be alerted about new videos. See you next time.